Hello sports fans, and welcome back to another exciting week of the Pioneers Weekly Football Preview postseason edition, where we take a look at all of the local teams' playoff matchups this week. In first round action, we're starting things off in Reed City, where the Coyotes are coming off another undefeated regular season. Their second in a row and second CSAA title in a row. They'll be hosting non-conference rival Manistee in the first round action. It's a team that they're pretty familiar with since Monty Price has taken over as coach at Reed City in the mid-90s. Bob, from talking with Monty about this game, do you get the sense that the rivalry will play any factor in this matchup, and who do you have winning this game?
Absolutely. When I was talking to Monty yesterday, in fact, he said that him and Gus Palooka, the Manistee coach, are very good friends. They attend the same conferences because they run the same offense, wing tee. The kids are fairly familiar with each other, and that makes it for a more interesting game. I like Reed City. They're home. They're on a roll, and I see this one with Reed City pulling away late by 2 scores, something like 28-14.
Brandon, in any time that you have a rivalry and matchup in the first round of the playoffs, that's got to be a bit of a concern, I would imagine. Can you talk about this matchup and who you have winning?
Just like Bob said, you got very similar teams. Manistee coming in, winning their 6th game last Friday. It's going to be a lot for Reed City to start off with, get that enthusiasm going, but I have them pulling away quick. Just watch out for Manistee's passing game.
Yeah, Reed City is going to be, has a chance to host the first couple of games in the playoffs here, and I think that will be to their advantage against a team like Manistee. This is a game that I have Reed City pulling away in the third and fourth quarter as well. I've got them winning by a couple touchdowns. Looking at our next game on the playoff schedule, it's a rematch of one of the best regular season games of the season in the CSAA. As Chippewa Hills travels to Top Taggart Field to take on Big Rapids. Big Rapids finished the season at 8-1, 6-game improvement after last season's 2-7 mark. Definitely turned things around there in Big Rapids. But Chippewa Hills definitely is eyeing a bit of a revenge factor here after a 29-27 loss earlier this season during their homecoming. Bob, do you feel like that matchup will play any factor in this weekend's matchup? And who do you have coming out on top in this one?
Definitely the first time these two teams played, it plays a factor in how these two teams are prepping. If that was Chip Hills, they're going to spend some time on the special teams a little more. 16 points from Big Rapids came on special teams, and I think they're going to probably throw a few wrinkles at each other, try to fool them, try to maybe different formations. I like Big Rapids in this game. They find ways to win, maybe games that they might not should have. So I'm picking Big Rapids, but this should be a very entertaining, very high scoring, and one of your better first round matchups.
Brandon, looking at this matchup, I would imagine one of the factors for Chippewa Hills is getting the passing game going. Can you talk about the importance of that for the Warriors, and who do you have winning this game?
Getting Trent Karcher involved early will be beneficial for Chip Hills. The main thing when it comes down to is their defense, whether it's on special teams or it's just flat out playing defense for 48 minutes. I see Chip pulling out a upset, but that's only if their defense can withhold and withstand any trickery or any long plays from Big Rapids. Chip by 3.
Yeah, I think anytime you look at a playoff matchup where the teams are so close in terms of talent, you have to look at matchups. I think Chippewa Hills has a chance to do some damage on the outside with their receivers, but I do like Big Rapids' ability to shut down the passing game, and they've shown the ability to run the ball this year. I think Nick Baldwin has a big game, and I think Big Rapids wins this one by a touchdown. Looking at our next playoff matchup, the Evert Wildcats are back in the playoffs for the first time since 2007, and they're hosting Carson City Crystal this weekend in a matchup of 2 7-2 teams. Looking at this matchup, Bob, do you see Evert extending their postseason another week after a solid regular season?
I'm actually going to go with Carson City in this game. It would not surprise me if Evert does win. Everett's a solid team. They can run the ball. They can throw the ball. Got pretty solid defense. But I like Carson City. They can put up points, a lot of points as it is. And I think this is going to be a track meet. And I say Carson City is going to win this one with both teams approaching 40. I'll say like 42-38.
Brandon, looking at this matchup for Evert, what are some of the keys for Evert to have success against Carson City, and who do you have winning this one?
The keys for Evert is running the ball and controlling the clock. That's what it's going to come down to against a high-power team like Carson City. If you can get their defense on the field for a long time with you maintaining possession, it's going to wear them down, and it's going to be a beneficial night for the Wildcats. 9 weeks ago, I said Evert was going to make the playoffs. They were a playoff team, and I think this team is driven to make the playoffs and win this game. I see it 28-14.
Yeah, Everett's a team that has had success running the football nearly every game this season, and I would expect that not much is going to change there. Pat Craven's going to want to run the ball against Carson City. I think that's going to be a huge factor. If they're able to run the ball, like Brandon said, they're going to be able to control the clock. I don't think Evert wants this to be a track meet, but it might end up being one. I do have them winning a game, but it's probably going to be in the 20s. Looking at our final high school playoff matchup of the week, Baldwin returns to the playoffs this year, and on the other side they're going to be facing a Fowler team. That's a very good team that was the runner-up in the Division 8 for a state title last year. Baldwin is returning to the playoffs with a 6-2 season this year. Bob, looking at this matchup, obviously Fowler, one of the more powerful teams in the state in that division. What is the approach that Baldwin has to take coming into a game when obviously it looks like a pretty big challenge on the other side?
Baldwin has to go into this game believing they can win. They can't take this game as icing on the cake. We're happy to be there if they want to continue. They got to go down there, think they can win. And for them to win, they got to get the ball to Andon Ware and let him do his magic like he has all season. I don't think it's going to happen. I think Fowler wants to get back to the Ford Field and get that last win. And I see Fowler actually winning this one quite easily.
Brandon, looking at this matchup, Baldwin obviously has their work cut out for them. Can you give me a little bit of an idea of who you've got winning this one?
It's going to come down to experience, and unfortunately for Baldwin, Fowler has more experience in the postseason. It's an opportunity, though, for Baldwin to see what it's going to take to get to that next level, for those underclassmen to see how well tuned that Fowler team is. It's going to be a promising next year for Baldwin. I think they take in what they learned Friday night and they assert that to next season.
Yeah, Baldwin coach Doug Bowles, when I was speaking with him, said, he told his players, if we want to be the best, we've got to beat the best. Well, I don't think he literally meant that he wanted to face one of the best teams in the state in the first week of the playoffs, but he's going to get his chance this week. Unfortunately, as Brandon alluded to, Baldwin just hasn't been in this situation before, and I think there's too much talent on the other side for Fowler, and I do see Fowler running away with this one. We have a little bonus pick'em this week coming from Major League Baseball with the World Series Fall Classic beginning. We're going to take a look at the Tigers and Giants and who we have winning the series. Bob, get us started here. Who do you have winning and why?
I'll be the villain of the three, and I'm going with the Giants. I like their pitching better. I think their starting pitching is just as good as the Tigers. Their bullpen is definitely better. If there's one issue the Giants do have, it's scoring runs, but they don't have to score many to get wins. I see the Giants winning this in 7.
Brandon, all summer you've talked about how much you believe in this Tigers team and Jim Leland in particular as a manager. Can you talk about whether you think the Tigers are going to bring home that World Series title for the first time since 1984?
I'm just going to use some simple math right now. You got Verlander in 3 games. That's 3 wins. You could write that down and take it to the bank. Scherzer, Pfister, and Sanchez, all they have to do is win 1 more. I see the Tigers pulling this out at least 5 games. Yeah, San Francisco's got this and that and Kane and Abel and whoever else, but still, you got the Tigers, better hitting ball club. They can run away with runs in a game, or they can stay close and play a tight game. Tigers, definitely Tigers.
Yeah, I like the Tigers in this one also. This is a great matchup in terms of pitching, starting pitching matchups. The concern for Detroit is do they continue to get those types of performances from their starters, and does their bullpen hold up? It's definitely going to be tested against the Giants team. That's their bread and butter, is playing those low-scoring games. So that is a bit of an advantage for the Giants. I do think that the Tigers have been showing the ability to come up with some runs when they needed to in the postseason so far, and that's why I have them winning in 5. Our final segment for the day, we're going to take a look at our game ball picks for the week, where we talk about our top performances from last week's high school football action. Bob, can you get us started with your game ball pick for last week?
My game ball goes to John Danley of Evert. He rushed for 2 touchdowns, including 42 yards and 2 yards, rushed for almost 100 yards. He also intercepted 2 passes, one of which he brought back to the house and led Evert to a big win over Manton. Congratulations, John Danley.
Brandon, who do you have for this week's game ball pick?
I'm taking a trot over to Remus and giving my game ball to Trent Karcher. 3 catches last week against Holton, 3 touchdowns, and 129 yards, helping the Warriors secure a playoff spot once again. Good job, Trent.
My game ball goes to the air it out offense and aerial assault at Reed City. The Coyotes finished their 2nd consecutive regular season at 9-0, and they did it through the air. Chad Samuels 8 for 11 passing for 160 yards and a pair of touchdown passes for a team that primarily runs the ball on the ground. Congratulations, Chad, and to the Coyotes. That's going to do it for this week's edition of the Pioneer Weekly Football Preview. As always, you can check out BigRapidsNews.com for results from all of these games, or check out the weekend edition of the Pioneer.